Hello everyone, it's Amanda Mertz at Did You Stamp Today? And I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I was busy scrambling to clean up my desk so you would be able to see the projects today. Here today for our Let's Stamp Today live, and let me get my other screen up so I can see everything and see if there are any comments. Oh, I can't. Keep pressing the wrong button. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, just a couple of announcements. I don't want anybody to miss out because there's a lot happening in October for Stampin' Up. The first thing is, it went live last week, but the Stampin' Up Advent Calendar, 12 Days of Christmas, or 12 days of whenever you want. That kit, well, it's not really a kit, it's a group of products that every day you open a little door and there's a crafting product in there, paper, gems, there's a stamp set, dies. So it's not Christmas themed for the products. The box is Christmas themed, but that's available now in my online store, so don't miss out on that. Those are while supplies last. The next thing is super exciting, is a demonstrator joining opportunity, and for the whole month of October you can join Stampin' Up as a demonstrator. And there's two choices for your starter kit. You can either spend $35, you heard that right, $35, and you can get $125 worth of product. So that's a fabulous deal. And then the second choice is, if you want more than $125 worth of items, you can pay $99 to get $189 worth of product. So that's almost double. So two join opportunities. If you have any questions about being a demonstrator, just let me know. Leave a comment, send me a direct message, give me a call. If you're one of my customers, you probably already have my number. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to have you join my team. It's a fun group, lots of support from Stampin' Up, and you can do classes. I always suggest that. Share it with everybody, expand your Stampin' Circle, or you're just joining for the discount, and that's perfectly fine too. But it's definitely an opportunity you don't want to miss. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. And I think we'll get started now. Hopefully I've got everything prepared. I was rushing around a little bit today, so let me pull over some of my supplies and turn around the camera and see if we can get set up here. And the zoom is always a little iffy. Whoop, a little too much. There we go. Hopefully you can see. Maybe get a little bit closer. I don't know if you guys are watching the live or if you come back and watch the replay, but I was wondering what you all think about the quality, because I've downloaded the video and then uploaded it so then it can be forever on YouTube, and I just feel that the quality is just it's kind of fuzzy when you open up the screen large. Is it just me, or are you guys seeing the same thing? But I'd like to know what you think, if it's clear enough that you can see what's going on, or if it's just one of those things that maybe I need to look at a different way, maybe doing YouTube lives instead to see if that quality is better, so when you watch the replay you can see everything nice and crisply. But anyway, let's get on to the project. So yesterday I had my monthly stamp club, and one of my customers was asking me what I might be making for today's live, and I said I didn't know yet, and if she had anything she wanted to see, that she was welcome to suggest something. She said she wanted a Christmas card, and since we had used the Ornamental Christmas set on one of the projects in class, I thought I would pull that out again and do something kind of completely different than the card that we made yesterday. So this is a bundle. It comes with the die set. This is not all the dies. Some of the dies are pulled out in different places, but it's a nice bundle, and it's an online exclusive. So this is not one that's in the mini catalog. You'll have to look in the online exclusive section of the Stampin' Up store to find that one. And then we're going to be using the Wishing You Joy stamp set for just the sentiment. So let me set these aside and pull out some of our supplies. Got a basic white envelope, and then a whole mess of things. We've got a basic white thick card base. I've already scored it down the middle just to make that easier to fold. I've got a basic white base. And I have so many little pieces here. Let me do this. And here's a piece of really pretty, beautiful bouquet paper. And this one came out in last year's spring mini catalog. So not last year, this year's spring mini catalog. It's only October now. Happy October, by the way. So this is a really pretty pattern, and it's a nice subtle background. So we're going to be using that today. And this is the main color on here is Fresh Freesia. Then I've just got a couple pieces of basic white to do some die cutting and some stuff. A little strip of basic white. Just, you'll see how that gets used. And let's see. And then I've got all of these little strips. I've got Highland Heather. I've got Bubble Bath. And I've got Fresh Freesia. So these are all just strips that I've cut, and they're 1/4 inch wide. And they're random lengths because it doesn't really matter. They just have to be long enough. And then I've got a piece of the Peaceful Garden glimmer paper. And I think that's it. So let's get started. I don't even know where to start first. All right, we'll just do this one. We'll start first with our base, fold that over, get out my tools, do a bone folder. So today I walked the dogs, and it actually felt almost, not exactly like fall, but it felt closer to fall than it's felt in a long time. It wasn't quite as humid, and it was a little cooler, and there was a little bit of a breeze. So maybe that'll get you more into the mood for winter and fall cards. So for the beautiful bouquet paper, I'm just going to just cover my card base. And let me see, did I not? I didn't do a fantastic job of trimming it. I've got a little extra overhang here, so I'm just going to trim that off real quick with my scissors, because otherwise that'll kind of bother me. All right, where's my trash? All right, that's that. And let's do some of the, let me see, let's do the main technique, I guess it is. There's not a ton of stamping on today's card, but this is a cool technique that uses these little strips of paper, and I'm just covering my square, my basic white square. And I am just going to pick one of these colors. Let's do the Highland Heather. And I'm just going to, let's see, let's use a straight line here to get our lines lined up. And I'm just doing it straight up and down, roughly in the middle. It doesn't have to be exact. You'll see why. And then I'm just going to build the strips in a random pattern. Well, not random. I'm going to go in order. So then I'm going to do Bubble Bath, and then I'm going to go back to Highland Heather. And if you've cut your strips pretty straight, they just kind of just line up. And do Bubble Bath. See, this one's really long. It doesn't need to be that long, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to go back the other way and do another Bubble Bath on this side. And I started in the middle using a line to get, you know, like a straight edge. I just find that that's easier a lot of times to keep your strips straight instead of they start, if you just pick on the end, sometimes you start angling, and you don't know why it starts going off, but I found it easier to start in the middle and then go to one side and then go to the other side, and it keeps the lines a little straighter, I think. But maybe you guys are not as crooked as me. Maybe I lean one way, off balance. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly snip these off just to make it easier to maneuver. And set these aside. We're all done with these. So I didn't really need that many. I've got maybe 3 or 4 of each color, depending on which one you started with. I guess I have 3 of the Highland Heather and 4 of the Fresh Freesia and Bubble Bath. So it doesn't really matter which ones you start at. Now I'm going to bring up my die cutter, and we are going to show you how we're going to use the dies. So we're going to make a little ornament. So this is one of the ornaments from the Ornamental Christmas bundle, and I am just going to cut on a diagonal. I've got my papers, and it doesn't matter which way you go, it's whatever you want. If you wanted to do your stripes going across, then you would just angle your die up and down and follow your stripes. And look at that. A nice fun multicolored ornament. And while we've got the die cutter up, I'm going to use one of the textured note dies, and this is the one that gives you the nice outside edge. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to slide that one up there, and we're going to make use of our space. And I've got the Peaceful Garden glimmer paper, and I've got the die that makes the little ornament topper. We're going to cut out one of those, and then I've got the 2 dies. They give you 2 that make these stars. I'm going to use both of those because I'm going to want to have 3. And I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to try to maximize my space. We're going to run that through. And oops, I don't have quite enough room on my desk. Need a bigger, I need a bigger desk, I guess, to get my husband on that. He built me this desk that I use with the drawers and all that, and it's been quite a few years now, and it is still going strong, and it's the perfect, normally it's the perfect size. All right, set my dies aside. So I've got the textured note die. You can see how it gives you that nice detailed edge. And then I'm gonna pop these stars out. Oh, actually, you know what? I forgot a step. Well, I didn't forget a step. I still need to do one more step. And I'm going to need, oh, I didn't cut enough of the paper. Let me pull this out, and I can show you the other colors in this Peaceful Garden paper too. So we've got the silver-ish, and a little hint of green. And then here's a scrap I've already cut into this one, is the darker blue, and that's really pretty. And then here's a full sheet of the light. So like it's a really pretty set of papers. And if you like a bit of glimmer in your life, that is going to be something that you'll want to look into. So I forgot to get out this one die to do. Let me bring in the die cutter, get that one back. See, I told you, I was running around like I said, I had Stamp Club yesterday, and that always, all my stuff is downstairs, and I haven't cleaned it up yet. Oh, we're just going to use this little strip of circles die, and I'm going to try to get it lined up without getting my head over. And oops, a little off center, try to keep everything centered. Still not right. Okay, there we go. All right, now if we can keep it still going through. So we're gonna run it through once with the ornament. And you'll see how these pop out. So we're gonna pop those circles out, and it gives a nice little detailed like stitching on the edge. So that's nice to add a little bit of extra something without you having to do an extra step. So we're going to set that aside, and then now we're going to pull out our strip of glimmer paper again, and we are going to run it through again. And here we go. Now we've got our circles. All right, now we can set the glimmer paper aside. And these circles we are going to save right there. See how sparkly they are? Here we go. Here we go. Ooh, did I lose one? I lost one. Where did it go? Oh, no. Oh, there it is. It was upside down. Okay. So in order to not lose those while we're putting together the rest of the card, I am just going to, remember that little strip of basic white, it's just a 1/2 inch strip that I had from cutting other papers. I'm just going to do a little bit of glue on the back side of my ornament. I'm just going to lay that across, trim off the overhang, just has to be enough to cover up the circles, and then do a little dab of glue inside each circle, and then I'm going to put the glimmer paper ones inside. Now it gives a nice inlaid look and a nice bit of sparkle because it's Christmas is sparkly time. And I saw this color combination on a challenge. I'll have to go back and look. I had pulled the colors out to contemplate, and I thought they might work well for this idea. And they're a little bit different than what you might think of for Christmas. But it's nice to have a little bit of, you know, it doesn't always have to be red and green. And see, I just noticed I lost a little bit of my edge here. I guess I must not have had glue in that spot. So we're just gonna stick a little bit of the, oh, not Highland Heather, what do we need? I was off. A little bit of the Bubble Bath. And I'll just trim that really quick. I'll follow the outline. So that little bit just kind of got, because it wasn't a big piece, so it must not have had enough glue on it. And actually, I probably, now that I think about it, I could have just left it off because that part's going to get covered. But in the meantime, so that piece of white is not glaring at us. Let's bring back in our card base and some stamping. Like I said, this one is going to be very little stamping today. I'm going to use some fresh freesia and this little stamp that it's garland or just detail, and I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get my straight lines. I'm just going to kind of do it here on that side and here on that side. Oh, that one's a little bit low. It's all right. I didn't want to put my head over the top. And so you're just going to get just a little detail on the outside edge. And then while we've got our stamping out, I'm going to do the sending you joy, sending you cheer. It's not centered. Sending you cheer. And again, that one is from the Wishing You Joy stamp set. It's got the same couple sentiments, like 4 times in different font and different sizes. So that's nice. Lots of choices depending on what you're going for. That one I'm just gonna, let me stick my head up here a little bit. Sending you cheer. There we go. And that's, I used Highland Heather for that. So the colors are Highland Heather, Bubble Bath, and Fresh Freesia. And get out some dimensionals. And this card doesn't take a whole lot. Like I said, there's not much stamping. So you just pull out your papers and a little bit of ink. You could obviously do this design with lots of different pattern or color combinations. You could do like red, green, and gold. You could do like cherry cobbler, crumb cake, and I don't know, like garden green or mossy meadow. So there's lots of different ways you could go with doing the little strips to get your different stripes. And I've got this piece of my adhesive erasers downstairs, and obviously you can see I need it. I get glue everywhere. All right, so this one we're just gonna pop on dimensionals. And again, I'm gonna try not to get my head over it. Right there. Then I'm gonna bring in my little glimmer paper accents and just a little bit of glue for the hanger. See, I didn't need to worry about that piece that fell off, but it was bothering me. And I didn't notice it when I first die cut it. There we go. Got that. And then my 3 little stars. Remember, I cut 4, but I set 1 aside because I only want 3. We're going to do odd numbers, you know, 3s and 5s. I'm just going to use the little tiny mini dimensionals. We're going to pop those up. We're going to do 1 down here to draw our eye closer to the sentiment. And we're going to do 2 up towards the top. We're going to do 1 right there. And 1 right here. And then the next thing, I've got a little bit of white baker's twine. I wish I had something more sparkly, but everything that I have that's sparkly, it's either retired or gold. And since we've got the kind of silver look going on here, I figured we're just going to do a basic baker's twine. But if you recreate this one on your own, I would suggest a sparkly ribbon or bow or something sheer, something that has a little bit of shine to it. This is just kind of plain bow. And my scissors, I'm going to cut that off and bring in a glue dot. I know how everybody else does glue dots, but I always like to press my bow or knot or whatever I'm trying to glue dot right into it and pull it up. See, that tail is not behaving. Stick that right there. And card front is done. We could always add in some more gems or something like that, but I kind of like to keep this one clean because it is a little, the colors are a little, not bright, but bold-ish. And let's see, where is my insert? What did I do with the insert? I didn't put it in there. If I was more organized, I would have extras cut. There it is. It's underneath the stamp sets. This is like real life stamping. I lose stuff all the time, and honestly, it's kind of embarrassing. The thing, I'll lose like my paper snips, and they'll be like right in front of my face. I'll lose like a sheet of dimensionals, and they're just sitting right there, and I sit there for like 5 minutes trying to find them. And so the inside, I'm just going to use the Merry Christmas from the Ornamental Christmas set. And we're going to do that one in Highland Heather, right in the middle. And then we're going to pull in the Bubble Bath and the little star, also in the Ornamental Christmas set. And I'm starting with the Bubble Bath, and I'm just going to do 2 stars right there, and I'm going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to go right to my fresh freesia. Since I'm going from the lighter color to the darker color, and they're very close in tone, I'm not going to bother cleaning off my stamp set, or the stamp. I'm not going to clean it with the cleaner and stuff, and that is that. I told you this was going to be a pretty quick card with not a lot of stamping, but hopefully you get something out of making any shape you want. You can do the Christmas tree in this set. You can do just the ornament bauble. There's a circle. Let me see if I can show you. So there's two Christmas trees. So you could do the Christmas trees with the stuck down. You could do the Christmas tree shapes. It's the same technique. And then there's like the bauble. You could do the bauble with the same technique. And then you could do an overlay. If only our glue held as good as the tape on those. You could do the overlay and then put the star on top, and you could see the stripes through. So there's lots of different things you could do. And like I said, you can do different, oh no, you know what? That's gonna bother me. I guess we will be putting some gems on this one. Let me see, what do we have? Silver. Maybe some of those kind of fit. All right, I guess we'll be sprinkling some of those around. Maybe I'll have to pull out some more of these that I had cut, and so I can balance it. There's always a way to cover up a goof, right? maybe we'll just do these. Let's see if I can get these to balance. I'm worried that it might be too busy if I put too many of these on. Let's see, maybe one right there. No, two up there. Trying to see where it might fit the best. Maybe right there. All right, I think that's gonna have to do it. Kind of covers it up, but watch out for that ink on your fingers, everybody, right? And that's the inside. And the final step, do this one because it's open. Hand stamped by, and let's do the couple stars on the front because that's the last ink we used. We'll keep it on fresh freesia. And besides the boo-boo down here, kind of throws off the balance, but more sparkle can't be a bad thing. So thanks so much for watching. Again, this is Amanda Mertz at Did You Stamp Today, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little something at least and had fun watching this card get put together. So thanks so much for coming, and I hope to see you again next week.